Good.
Sunday night show presented to you by Company Burger, located at 4600 Ferret Street and the Rusty Nail. Going to talk about CJ McCollum if he's an all-star. Also, Christian Clark of NOLA.com is going to join us, going to give us some updates on Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson before we get into the show. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into the show.
Go.
First took away. Gas to this. Get your money's worth.
All right, got Lito in studio. Chaz, as always, virtual. Chaz, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm hanging in there, bro. How's everything going there?
Oh, good. I just watching the Vikings. Kirk Cousins is just, yeah. Lito told me this his only playoff win was against the Saints. I think that's just crazy. But playoff Kirk Cousins. Let's get into it. Lito, I'll start with you first.
Yes, sir.
Your boy JV had another just a monster game Friday night. We're not, we've given him his flowers and given him his flowers on Twitter.
Yeah.
He was our Company Burger player of the game.
Yeah.
But let's talk about another guy, CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
CJ is playing some all-star level basketball. Now, is he going to make the all-star game? That's in question. There's a lot of good guards out there, but is he deserving of an all-star appearance?
I think he's been deserving for a while, not just this year. I think you could name a couple years beforehand that he should have made the team or could have made the team. Kind of like the Mike Conley situation. Like he was good enough during those runs he had in Memphis where he should have made an all-star team. But I mean, his last 11, he's shooting 51 from three, like 51% from three. That is what more can I say about that, right? And I think he's averaging a career high in assists this year.
He is. I'm going to pull up that stat as you talk right now.
I want to say it's 6.8. Don't quote me on that. I feel like, when you have the talent that we have, especially the talent that's out right now, man, CJ, he holding the ship down, bro.
He's averaging 5.9 assists a career high. He's averaging his careers. He averages 3.5 assists.
You got to talk about mind state there. Like you come into the season knowing you got a healthy Zion, a healthy BI. You got a team with BI, Zion, JV. Trey's gonna need shots. He came in with the mind state of I got to get these guys the ball. And the thing, I've always said about, I call him New Orleans dance instructor for anybody who doesn't know. The thing I say about the instructor is that like he can get his shot regardless, right? He can wait till the second half if he wants to, because it's just a rhythm with him. Once he gets a couple dribbles in, I know everybody was, they were stressing over him coming back from COVID. His shot was it was flat. It was flat. And you can see the difference in his shot now. Like he has legs. And he using them. Boy, he is.
He's been great. And Lito, what I've liked about CJ, I'm about to get to Chaz though, is what I've liked about CJ's game. He's getting everybody involved, and he's getting everybody involved early on. But Chaz, this team, right? We need to see it with Brandon and Zion Williamson. And we still haven't figured out that part. But first, before we get into that, what have you liked from CJ? Because I feel like with all the injuries, especially with Brandon, and especially with Zion, he has taken it to another level. He's gotten fully healthy from COVID, the flu, etc. I mean, what have you liked about his game over this last 3 weeks?
I would say he's doing what's asked of him. I'll say that he's doing what's asked of him.
Further into that,
he looks to be in great shape. I know he came into the year not in the best shape. You can see that he's in better shape now. Making a lot of tough shots. I think the thing I think he's doing really well is playing defense. I thought his defense has been really consistent most of the year. Before these injuries, I thought he's played some really solid to good defense, truthfully. Aside from that, man, availability is the best skill, man. He's been available. And in the role he's in right now, he's excelling. And so you can't ask for more than that.
But Chaz, your main point, though, and what you've been driving home this entire year is what does this team look like with Brandon, Zion, and CJ? Obviously, we're still waiting on Brandon. Zion probably early to mid-February. Is that something to worry about, I guess, a little bit about how those three are still going to work together? Because if you think about it, They didn't really get much preseason ball, because Brandon was out. They haven't really gotten much practice. Is that something to worry about, moving forward here into the All-Star break and then eventually into a playoff run?
Absolutely. I think, in my opinion, as it pertains to CJ specifically, nothing he's doing matters, in my opinion. And I say that because it's not going to be the role that he's actually played when everyone is healthy. And I feel like I know what a team looks like with CJ as the number one option. So until you get all these guys together and you see CJ excelling in that third as the third option, then it's hard. I'm happy for him as an individual player, but from a team standpoint, this is a house of cards. Like CJ is going to get tired at some point. He's already kind of, when you watch CJ in some of the fourth quarters, like he's starting to wear down a little bit late third, fourth quarter. So that's going to carry on at some point. Luckily, they had like a 2-night break after that Pistons game. But you got to get these guys back, or you got to get CJ and JV some help, because you don't want to wear these guys out.
Yeah, and I'm gonna let you go. You had a great segment on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, Hot Takes Chaz, you had a really good 5-minute segment on that. But Lito, it looks like you wanted to get.
I just wanted to say something. Chaz, with all due respect, Chaz said that what he's doing now doesn't matter. I disagree, respectfully, of course. I disagree because, Chaz, without him right now, we don't have nothing. Like in his last 5 games, he's giving you 26, 28, 28, 34, 38. Like without that, like you could count them as losses, because there's nobody else on this team who can erupt in that magnitude to even keep you in the game, right? So that was the only point I had. Like, and I do feel what you're saying. Like when he comes back to play with the starters, it won't matter, because he can't control the tempo of the game. He can't control the ball like that. He can't dominate the ball on one side of the floor. I will say this too. In his last 5 games, he's averaging a block.
Chaz makes a great point. He's been playing really good. I think he's been playing good defense all year. And we're talking about just effort wise. But Chaz, another thing that you had mentioned early on in one of our recaps, in my opinion, when Zion went out, we went through this long stretch. I gave you a list of games. We had to win the games that we need to win the game. Like, the games that the winnable games, right? The Pistons, right. I don't think the Thunder are coming out. They're winning those games.
Right.
And maybe eventually, maybe tomorrow they beat Cleveland. Who knows? But what I've liked about CJ is, 1, his leadership, and 2, his availability, because I didn't think he'd be logging this many minutes. He's been
averaging 35 minutes. He's
averaging 35, and that's what I'm a little worried about right now. So I'm hoping some other guys can come up and step up. But he's playing an all-star level. Another guy. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I want to add a little clarity. When I say with the CJ thing, when I say it doesn't matter in the context, I mean, as far as, like I said, with CJ as your number one option, you kind of have a low ceiling, but you are beating the teams that you're supposed to beat. So that's the good thing. But when you match up against a team like the Celtics, who were, of course, they weren't shorthanded, the top 2 guys, but they were shorthanded, a couple guys, probably, 2 of the top 4. You say that with Time Lord and Marcus Smart. Or you face other teams that they may, as a collective, they may be more top heavy, like talent wise, and we've lost those games. So I think once you go through like a tough stretch during the season, I really would hate to see CJ out there, like with the Brooklyn game. Yeah, it was close, but was it ever really that close? Like, I would hate to see CJ logging this many minutes and putting forth that much effort in consistent losing efforts because your top 2 guys aren't available. Like, he played hard in the Brooklyn game, then he had to rest in the Dallas game because he was so tired from the Brooklyn game. So you pretty much punted the Dallas game. So I just don't want to see those things happen. I feel like, man, just target the easy wins, and just go from there.
But Chaz, they had a chance to win that game. They were up. I was coaching, but they were up at half. They were up like 8 or 10 points. Am I off on that?
In that Brooklyn game?
Yeah.
Yeah. They were up the majority. They were up the majority of the game, but it's kind of like, okay, like how long you expect Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, not, to be Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So it was just like, that's why in the end, talent always wins out in the end.
100%.
You gotta get these guys available.
So look, to your point, and that's the reason, the whole 15-man ain't important thing. Like, yes, the hell it is, brother.
It's always important, right?
Yeah. Let's get into another guy that's been really important. I think probably one of the most important players on this roster, and it's Naji Marshall. I remember early on in this year, Naji was getting rotational minutes, and a lot of people were disagreeing with Naji Marshall. He's saying he's not a playoff rotation player. He might even be an NBA player. He might even be on this roster. Well, he's only set career highs in basically every offensive category. Lito, I remember watching Naji, in the last couple summer leagues and early on in a few other seasons. He was trying to do too much. He didn't understand what his role was. Right. He was kind of erratic. He didn't really have a plan. He has he knows his role and he excels at his role. And I think it's extremely important as a basketball player. Take me through a mindset of a basketball player, understanding their role. Cause I think that's one of the most important things that's not really talked about, especially in any level, high school, college, NBA, G League, it doesn't matter. If you understand your role and you can excel at your role, you can be beneficial to any team. And that's what Naji Marshall's been.
It's a dangerous thing. A basketball player who knows his role has clarity. When you go into a game clear, you don't have to think. It allows you to be free. It allows you a freedom that you don't necessarily like. I heard Drew Holiday say this during his time here under Alvin Gentry. He was like, I don't really know. At times, he didn't really know how they wanted him to play or like the particular style they wanted him to play. And you could tell, early in the season with those slow starts, it hampered Drew. Naji seems to have, I don't know if the role has been cleared for him or he just said, hell with it, I'm going to clear the role myself. But he's taking on the role of the enforcer. He's taking on the role of just being energetic, getting downhill, just being a guy who attacks. That is Naji Marshall's bread and butter right there. That and defense will keep him in the NBA. And here's the thing. We're talking about CJ, right? In Naji Marshall, you talked about career highs across the board. In his last 5, right? In his last 5, he's averaging 20. He's averaging 5 rebounds. He's shooting 40 from 3.
Wow. I didn't realize that. Let's bring, you know what? Now we got Cole. Let's bring Christian Clark in. Christian Clark of NOLA.com, the host of From the Wing podcast, joined the show. Christian, how are you?
What's up, fellas? Doing really well. Got back in New Orleans last night. Hopped off that road trip and doing great, man. Gonna go to Budsy's after this and get some Thai food.
Nice.
What's up, Christian?
What's up, man?
We're talking about Naji. Let's give me your thoughts on him and just how he's excelled in his role, this year and what you've seen from him.
I mean, yeah, he's been awesome. I mean, probably the single biggest surprise of the season. They've just been throwing him out there as a starter while all these guys are out, and it's gone great. He's so good off the dribble. He can do so many different things, and you can see him playing with swag too. Like some of the passes he's making, really feeling himself. He's a talented player doing stuff off the dribble, and he really plays hard too on the defensive end and has that ability. And I like what Jonas Valanciunas has said too. He's like, you could tell Naji Marshall really loves playing basketball, and I think that's true. Like Naji Marshall, he was kind of one of those guys coming out of high school, like pretty highly touted guy. There were some issues. He changed schools a bunch. He didn't get drafted. I think, I don't know. I don't want to say it here, but he kind of maybe could have got lost in the shuffle, but he just stayed focused on basketball. And I think what you're seeing now is kind of the result of that.
Yeah. I mean, well said, Christian. Chaz, I want to get you in here too, because you've been a big fan of Naji Marshall for a while now, but his energy is infectious. Just like how Christian just said, he loves the game. He loves to play the game, and he's kind of like the enforcer. Obviously, he has the nickname and everything like that. But what have you seen from his game that you've liked this year?
One thing I appreciate so much about Naji, aside from his availability, is that he's just like the perfect. I mean, he's elevated his game to be more than an energy guy. But you love a guy like Naji during like the lows of the season or when you get injuries. You love a guy that's always going 100 miles an hour. And on top of that, I mean, most role players, they tend, their games tend to not travel well. Naji's been consistent. I know what I'm going to get from Naji every night, be it at home or on the road. I just love that he's taking time to consistently improve his game. You know what I'm saying? I know last year one of his goals was not to spend much time on the bench, and this year is it's coming to fruition, and he's taking full advantage of that opportunity. So credit to Naji, man.
Once again, Christian Clark joining us from NOLA.com and from the Wing Pod. Christian, let's get into this one. Brandon Ingram, do you have an update on anything with him? Has he resumed any practice or any updates regarding Brandon Ingram?
Yeah, I was not able to go to the Pelicans practice in Cleveland today, but he's listed as out. It's really frustrating. Brandon said before this trip, I think he told ESPN he was hopeful to play on the road trip. Tomorrow will be the 25th game. He's missed with the toe contusion. I think like one player and his injury you can compare him to. Brandon is dealing with the toe contusion. Desmond Bane of the Memphis Grizzlies had a grade 2 toe sprain, which is a worse injury. And Desmond Bane missed 17 games, and tomorrow will be 25 for Brandon Ingram. So, look, there could be some other stuff like going on besides just the toe contusion. But from what I've heard, it's pretty minor stuff. And from what I've been told, it's kind of been Brandon's call for a while. I mean, I think obviously he'll need like 1 or 2 practices under his belt. Like there's some hoops he has to jump through before he plays again. But it's mostly on him at this point, from what I've been told.
So let me ask you this, Christian. What's the difference between, I think earlier we were told turf toe, and then did it get upgraded to a toe contusion?
No, it's been a toe contusion the entire time, which has been, one of the more frustrating things about this. I think when he left that Grizzlies game, which was the day after Thanksgiving, I think they were worried, okay, this could be a toe sprain, and they checked him out. He had a bunch of medical imaging done. He's had medical imaging done, I think, multiple times, during his long layoff. And it's been like conclusive that no, it's not a toe sprain. It doesn't, like hit like the characteristics of a toe sprain. Like he does not have that. So I think that's what's been frustrating about it. I mean, it seems like some pretty minor stuff.
Just one more. I'm sorry. Like you when you say it's been Brandon's call, that meaning like basically it's his say when he goes or not?
Yeah. I mean, from my understanding, that's correct. I think if he, decided, okay, I want to come back Wednesday against the Miami Heat, that like my read on the situation is the Pelicans be like, awesome, like practice, play in a stay fit game, play a little 5-on-5, and you're good. Like they would be overjoyed. I don't think this is a situation, and hasn't been for a while, where the Pelicans are like, well, we can't have you out there. We're worried about you getting re-injured again, which was the case with Zion last year. Like that was a whole different situation. Like that was the Pelicans saying, no, you're not ready yet. Like that's not what is happening here at all.
Yeah. And Chaz, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, hey, Christian. I want to be careful how I craft this question. With Brandon and the number of injuries he's sustained, so far this season already, is it or even dating back to last year, is it a situation, when you say it's frustrating, is it a situation where the frustration is mounting across the organization, where the front office is frustrated, staff frustrated, brand is frustrated, medical staff is frustrated? Like, because it seems like Brandon, he tends to take a little more time to heal than some other guys. I mean, of course, we're not in his body. We don't know what he's feeling. But do you think that frustration or that confusion is beginning to mount across the entire organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's accurate to say. I mean, you definitely like have heard some stuff from Pelicans, like just inside the organization of, when's he coming back? Like this is probably something that a lot of guys would just try to play through. And yeah, I mean, I think that is fair to say. It is tough to talk about because it's like there's only one person who knows exactly what he feels in his foot, and that's Brandon Ingram. Like injuries are are all unique. Like no one is the same. So it is kind of tricky. But yeah, I think it's accurate to say that like there is frustration throughout the organization about how long this has taken. And I think there has been for a while too. Like this is kind of nuts. Like this is more than a quarter of the season.
Yeah. Christian, about the other superstar, Zion Williamson, have you any updates with him? Obviously you got some work in. We saw, I think it was either I think you also videoed it, but also Lopez. He was getting some free throw work in. Any updates on Zion?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's still got a week and a half until he's hit that 3 weeks of reevaluation period. Like hamstring strains are tough injuries for any basketball player, and especially one as explosive as Zion. But kind of the word I've heard is that like Zion really wants to get back on the court. I think he would like to play in the All-Star game. He's also got some, like financial incentive to get back on the court. If he's able to make first team All NBA this year, his starting salary, on his next contract would be 30% of the cap. And if he makes second team or third team or doesn't make All NBA team at all, it's only 25%. So there's a pretty significant hike for him monetarily if he can make first team All NBA. And I think he was certainly in that mix before he got injured. And I think Zion throughout his career, he's always wanted to get back as soon as possible. It's just, like conditioning issues, organizations worried about him getting hurt again. Those are the things that have kept him out longer than, like a lot of people would have liked. But like Zion consistently has always been a guy who's like I want to play as soon as I can. It's kind of been other stuff that's held him back.
Hey, Christian, two-part question here. For first question, or first part of the question, how is EJ Liddell, how is his rehab going? And secondly, happy to see Kyra back. He still looks like he's as quick as he was last season, maybe a little bit quicker. I guess my question there is like, I would like to see him more in games, in actual game situations. Is there anything to why he isn't playing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question. I mean, I think you could make a case that like he could be getting the Devontae Graham minutes and they would be no worse off than they are right now. I mean, I think, like Willie looks at Devontae Graham and he's like, look, this is a guy who, was in the starting lineup and like helped me turn around the season last year. And two, I think, like just look at the contract too. Like Devontae Graham makes a lot. And if you like just completely sit him on the bench, like, does that impact his trade value at all? And I think too, the other aspect of it is like the Pelicans don't have a ton of outside shooting and Kyra might be able to do like some other things better than Devontae, but I think you could like say Devontae is probably a better outside shooter than Kyra right now. But like, that's kind of the one spot I look at is like, maybe he could be getting minutes there. I like Kyra Lewis Jr. Like, I think he'll be a player in the NBA. I mean, I don't know if they'll be here or somewhere else because they have Jose now and he's kind of like entrenched as the backup point guard, but like, I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be something in the NBA.
Yeah, and you see him working out all the time. But Christian, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. The last question I got for you is with trade rumors swirling around, things like that. Who's a player you'd like to see target or the Pelicans target here on the next couple months?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the two things they would like to maybe improve is some more shooting on the wing and maybe add a little rim protection. I mean, I think there's a good chance we see them, add shooting on the wing. I like Bojan Bogdanovic in Detroit a lot. I know he's going to be a guy who's coveted by a lot of different teams. I think Malik Beasley in Utah would be a really interesting name. I mean, the guy can absolutely shoot the cover off the ball. Like if he came here, he would be a bench guy. I think it would be a pretty natural role for him. Those are two of the names. And then, if the Raptors decide to move OG Anunoby, I mean, I think you have to definitely have some like hard conversations about, well, do we want to give up a ton for this guy because he'd be such an excellent fit? I just don't know whether they're going to like make him available or not.
Yeah. Christian, can't thank you enough for joining, man. Once again, Christian Clark, Pelicans beat writer for NOLA.com and host of From the Wing Pod. Make sure you follow him at @CClark_13. Christian, I'll see you hopefully soon. I know we're back in town, so glad you joined the show. Thanks for everything.
Hey, fellas, thank you.
Thanks, Christian.
Thanks, Christian. Be good, man.
You guys too.
This podcast is sponsored by the Birdsall Law Firm, the official injury lawyers of Boot Crew Media, located at 918 Poydras Street by the Superdome. Give them a call at 504-523-5413 if you or someone you know has been involved in an accident. Be sure to mention that we sent you. Birdsall Law Firm, the official law firm of Boot Crew Media. Leo, you wanted to shout somebody out? I want to give you this.
Oh, yes. Please, before I forget. Please, thank you. I want to give a shout out to the good people at 360 Wellness. The homegirl, Janae, she told me she was a fan of the show. She watches the show. She checks in. So if anybody, you know what I'm saying, I went over there to get some cupping. She got me right. If y'all need some body maintenance, please go see her. I swear to God, like she's fire.
Shout out. There you go.
I got a question.
I got, there's a lot to unpack there.
All right, cool.
Because Chaz actually texted me, he had a question, but you want to go ahead and
I just want to know, how do y'all feel about hearing that, like, this is Brandon's call?
I'm gonna let Chaz go. Chaz, you can go, Chaz. I'll give you the platform. You can read my face.
Well, I mean, truthfully, it's nothing we didn't know already. You know what's funny? People act like we don't cover the team. Like, people act like we just guessing our way through this. We've said this. We've been saying this for weeks, right? Well, months at this point, right? Truthfully, I think, of course, you can't really say how another person is feeling physically, but at the same time, this is not. You can't. One of your cornerstones can't be rarely available. You know what I'm saying? You at this point, you got two guys who are rarely available, and that's just not a sustainable way to win. I mean, you see it. You're even seeing it with the Clippers right now, and they're trying to, they're kind of chugging along, but at the same time, if you are going to build around guys like that, you have to hit on all your draft picks. You got to hit on all your free agent acquisitions. You have to hit on all your trades, and so far that hasn't been the case here. So with Brandon, essentially. Look, man, that's what I always say. When people be putting Brandon in certain conversations, I always have my reservations because I'm like, I don't know about that. There's not enough data to support that. So I'm not surprised by what I heard because we already knew it. And hopefully the front office has to make a decision as to which direction to go in. Do you want to continue down this path, or do you want to pivot and extract some value while there still is some value?
Well, I'm glad you brought up value, because I'm going to let you go here, Leo, in a second, because I was driving home today. I was talking with my buddies. People forget, though, like when Brandon does play, he's really good. I mean, Brandon, I understand, as you said, the best availability is ability, or the best ability is availability. He's got to play. I completely agree. But, Leo, like people quickly forget how good Brandon Ingram is.
I mean, Chaz, how the saying go?
Can't make the club in the tub. Can't
That's
make
really
the club
what it
in the
is.
tub.
I don't necessarily know if people forget, but like if they don't see it, if it's not in front of their face, then they just don't like the recollection, the memory bank of fans in general is so small that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it for instance, you heard the same thing about Zion last year. Like there was so much. If he's not gonna be healthy, if he's not this, if he's not there, like we got to figure out what we. And now you see him play,
and you're like,
"The hell are we talking about?" Like,
right,
what were y'all talking about? Because that,
right?
Yeah, but nah, man. I think when Brandon is obviously, what he does when he's available. He's a top, I don't know what 20, 25 player.
I mean, in my opinion, Chaz will probably have a different opinion. But when he's actually playing, like, that's not a shot at you, Chaz. I'm just saying everyone has a different opinion.
Right.
I believe so. Like, he's a really good basketball player. So, like,
yeah.
I
got a top 25 as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm just saying, I'm not ready to like give up on him. I'm not ready to ship him. Like, he's got to play. I completely agree. But at the same time, like, that's why I posted this whole thing. Like, people, like, we posted this tweet today about, he, once again, Brandon Ingram is listed out. Then a minute later, he posts on his story, and it's a weird caption that we can't say. And so I posted it out, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is nothing," and blah, blah, blah. Well, it might be something. I don't know. We don't know because we're not really told anything. We don't really necessarily know what's going on. I just want to see, all I know is that I want to see Brandon Ingram back. Because when you get Brandon, Zion, and CJ clicking, Chaz, if these three can click together, they're one of the best teams in the league.
I feel like the thing that I mean, I say this every week. I come in here, I come on Chaz's platform. I was on Schmidt's platform the other day. I keep saying the same thing.
Wait, hold up. I want to stop you. You have your own platform too now. Leader of God. We got to make sure to shout that out.
Yeah,
you had the original platform, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
You are the platform.
Come on, guys. Stop it. That's making play. No, but I'm saying I think the thing that will help the situation is clarity. I think clarity would help the situation. That would give.
When you say clarity, because you talked about turf toe. We heard.
I thought
someone in the organization did say turf toe. I'm not gonna say a name. They said turf toe.
I swear I heard turf toe.
They certainly said turf toe.
I swear I heard turf toe.
I was covering that game.
Sorry about the fire trucks going by right now on Magazine Street. Yeah, that was, we kind of knew about that stuff, but it was, they can't thank Christian Clark enough for coming on. Let's get into the last segment of the show, presented to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of Boot Crew Media. Cole, let's put up that tweet that I posted out today. Chaz, we'll start with you. I said, who would you trade out of these four? I put somebody that would stir the pot in Fred VanVleet because a lot of people don't like him, right? Right. I put a former player, Buddy Hield, and then I put me and Chaz did a show on this guy, Bojan Bogdanovic, and then a guy that's I think has played LSU, and a guy that's really kind of taken off here in the last year or so is Naz Reid. Chaz, let's talk Naz Reid first because he's an interesting fit. I know defensively he's not great, but he's a decent rebounder. He can shoot the three. I would love to see him next to Zion. And he's athletic. You saw that dunk he had last night. What do you like about Naz?
He had 3 dunks last night.
He hit 3. He had one that it was like, oh wow. What do you like about him?
Firstly, I anticipate Naz to have a reasonable contract this offseason.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off because I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but the Timberwolves did just say, I think there was a report saying that they're not going to offer him a contract this summer. Right. Is that correct? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I anticipate him to have a really reasonable contract for the things he offers. Can stretch the floor somewhat consistently. Solid defender in the rim, at the rim, rebounder, provides toughness. I think this front court, again, we said in the offseason, I think this front court could use help from a guy like that. And I think he's just a solid role player who can ascend to an elite role player. And I think if you got an opportunity to lock that guy in next, 3-4 years, you do it, in my opinion.
Yeah. And look, you are Mr. JV. Okay. I know you got that smile on your attorney, all that stuff. JV, I was talking about it again today. He's got good matchups. He's got bad matchups. It's all about the depth, right?
Absolutely.
I think Larry Nance has been exceptional this year, right? But he's a little undersized. But he's been exceptional this year. He's been great.
Yep.
But once again, we're starting to see he's starting to get a little injured. I think I kind of running in the ground a little bit early on this year. What do you like about Naz Reid's game that could fit with this team?
Let me say this first. The team who traded for Rudy Gobert, who thought that he was the missing link to win a championship, them saying they're not giving a player a contract does not move me at all. Nobody knows what they're doing over there. I like Naz Reid. And Naz Reid is better than Rudy Gobert at this point, actually.
Wow.
So,
wow.
I'm just saying, he's of course Rudy plays defense. He's the better defender. But man, Naz makes the team more dynamic. You don't have to sub Naz Reid out to make a free throw, a basic element of being a basketball player. You don't have to. Naz Reid can pick and pop. He can pick and roll. He dunked all over Cleveland last night. He's a decent rebounder. He's not super athletic, but knows how to use his body. Man, I'm a Naz Reid fan, man. Like Chad said, that's a guy, if he's available, I would have no problem giving up a roster spot for one of our bigs for him.
It's an easy move. Chaz, you're really good with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Naz Reid's is it a home run move? No, but it's a productive move that makes your team better. Because people are looking at Naz Reid right now and go to his box score, whatever, and they're like, I average 10-4.
I
look at the bigs on the roster and tell me what they average.
Backups. On our roster?
Yeah.
Is Jackson Hayes considered a big? Or
I don't consider him a back. No mind.
We got Billy Hernan Gomez. I mean, he was
they don't trust him. Willie doesn't trust him for whatever reason. Willie does not believe in whatever Billy brand. He doesn't believe in double Billy. He doesn't believe in it. So
I'll say this, man. You go get Nash because I'm not one of the people that like overvalue the talent on this roster. I think you go get Naz Reid, he immediately becomes a top 7 player on this team. You know what I'm saying? Credit to Naji. You know what I'm saying? And I mean this in the best way. Naji is probably the 6th best player on this roster. After your starting 5, then it's like Naji and everybody else. Naji, Jose, you know what I'm saying? And then everybody else. It's like if we gonna keep it real, let's keep it real. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think this roster is as solidified as some people think for them to turn their nose up at some player, because I don't think anyone's ever going to be good enough for some people. Kevin Durant wasn't good enough. Gary Trent Jr. wasn't good enough. DeJounte Murray wasn't good enough.
Okay, I'm about to say, how do you not lead off with DeJounte Murray?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's no one's ever good enough for all this youth in development. You know what I'm saying? No one's ever good enough.
Chaz, let me ask you a question. You said he was the 6th best player on the team besides the starters.
Yeah.
Do you think that Herb is better than Naji?
I think what Herb offers is more valuable than Naji. I think Naji is a guy like the pace Naji plays at. I don't think you can do that for 48 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I think Naji coming into the game, attacking downhill, getting the other team in foul trouble, getting to the free throw line, knocking down free throws, giving you a good, anything between 8 and 12 points. I think that's extremely valuable. But, I'm going to ask Herb to guard the other team's best player. You know what I'm saying? Herb, he can cut, finish at the rim, does get to the line, knock down his free throws. I think I would give Herb the nod just because I value more what Herb does. But I'll say if someone wanted to make those two interchangeable, I wouldn't be upset at that. I'm
glad you just said that, Chaz. I'm glad you said that because I know Herb had a great year. He hasn't. Mm-hmm. But we talk about this every day. The dude impacts the games in several ways. Several ways. You want to?
No. I just
because he impacts the game in several. Because it's just so easy to be like, oh, he's a 30%, 29% 3-point shooter. Are y'all watch? Like, do you watch the games on how he impacts the other? Like, yeah, like he's struggling from deep this year. It's okay to admit, but he does other things exceptionally well. I keep using the word exceptionally. I don't know why, but he does. He impacts the game at a high level. Watch the game, people.
I'm a Herb truther. I got
someone goes trade Herb Jones. I almost got suspended like you.
Well, listen, if we talking about trading Herb Jones for Kevin Durant, like I was trying to do this summer, then
yeah, I mean it's Kevin Durant.
No, but they no man. I'm not even going.
They didn't want to get it.
Chaz, that was the peak right there. Cole, bring up that. Can you bring up that tweet again? Because I do, Chaz or Lito, I want to start with you first here. Bojan Bogdanovic. He to me makes this team unguardable. If they're willing to gang rebound. Because if you can put Zion at the 5 and Bojan at the 4, and then you get Brandon, CJ, and you can figure out Trey Murphy, whoever. Bojan Bogdanovic, people talk about, he's not really good defense. Like he's a smart basketball player though. He understands where to be on the court. He shoots the hell out of the basketball. He's a guy that I think takes this team to the next level. I think they're talking about Chaz. I think they're talking about like first round picks and maybe even a player as well. This team, has a lot of picks and they have a lot of players.
Justin, what I've been saying about picks for the past?
We can't. I can't say it because we'll get in trouble. But it was F them picks, I believe. You said that last week, actually.
Hey man, F them picks. You look at the roster, right? And Chaz has said this numerous times. You've said this, I've said this. I feel like Chris Favre, we have all said it. I know there's this narrative of a deep roster, and I'm not saying it's not deep. It has bodies on it, yes. But are all those bodies playable? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So Bogdanovic is definitely going to add a certain element of shooting. Like you can't just leave Bojan Bogdanovic.
No.
You can't just leave him. You got to respect it. But if I can add my 2 cents into it, can you bring up the graphic again?
Cole, please bring up the graphic.
Yo, man, I want Buddy Hield because, in my opinion, this team needs. You look at who's out, right? You look at who's not playing. You look at the way we're playing. This team needs a gunner. It needs somebody who, like, with the confidence that Devontae Graham has to take the big shots, but to actually make those shots. Right? No diss to Devontae Graham. I'm just speaking facts.
He lets it fly. Like he lets it fly.
It's you tip the ball off. It's tip off. The ball gets passed to him as soon as he crosses half court and he shoots it. Like, you think I don't want that? Again, this man is 35th all time in three-pointers made.
It's a fact.
35th. He's 28, I think, 20, something like that. Like, I mean, bro, but bring Buddy home. Bring Buddy. My only honestly real issue with Bogdanovic is I think Bogdanovic is 34.
He's Buddy's 30.
He's 30? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't care about age. Go ahead. Go, Chaz. We have about like 5 more minutes left. Who do you got?
You know what? I would have to see Buddy's contract, but earlier in the year, I would have, if I'm giving up an asset, I would probably prefer Buddy. But since I want to, like, I think the big trade acquisition happens this offseason. So I value Bohan's contract more. Right. I don't think Bohan or Buddy help you much anyway if Brandon and Zion is out. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that goes to talk about depth. Your team is only deep. It's deep because you have star players. Once your star players aren't there anymore, your team isn't deep anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? You losing depth. So I think Bohan is more of a healthy team acquisition. And Buddy is kind of like, you know, he's a guy. I think both of those guys put you over the edge if the team is healthy, right?
Chaz, you asked about Buddy's contract. He's making 20 mil this year, then 18 mil the next year. I'm pretty sure, I'm pulling it up now. I'm pretty sure Bojan just signed.
Bojan signed an extension.
Is it Bojan or Bojan? Are we? Because we had this whole DeJounte and Deontay. I messed up.
I think it's Bojan.
Okay.
I
apologize.
The beauty in Bojan's contract is that his last season is partially guaranteed. So this offseason, his contract will be virtually expiring.
And look, he signed a 2-year deal, 20 mil 2023 and 19 mil in 2024.
I didn't know his contract.
That's the contract right there.
Contract makes him a little bit
That's
more.
Perfect for the window too.
What windows aren't real?
It's perfect for the future of the team.
All right.
The next 3 years.
Okay.
3 or 4 years.
Just remember, guys, windows aren't real.
Windows are not real.
I think if you get them, it's just based on, you know, if you get them, it's just based on the cost, right? If you can get them for like Jackson Hayes and salary, then you do that. Because again, his contract is this offseason is still valuable, and he helps you now. It's a talented player, super intelligent player. He can put the ball on the ground a little bit. He got a post game. You know what I'm saying? He's somebody from Trey Murphy, you know, potentially to learn from. You know, it's a lot of pluses to acquiring Bojan. It just depends on what the cost is. And at this point, if you're the Pelicans, you don't necessarily have to be desperate, but you do have to start kind of feeling a little bit of the heat to get some reinforcements, because you can't have 2 guys that's just out indefinitely.
Let me say one thing. We were just talking about contracts. There's one guy on that list who was averaging 18. He's averaging 5 rebounds. He's averaging almost 3 assists, 1 steal, and he's shooting 42 from 3.
Fred VanVleet?
Nah, man, Buddy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm about to say Fred. We could just take Fred off that list.
Do you think Buddy and Miles would be like this package? Like, you can't get Buddy without Miles, and you can't get Miles without Buddy?
I don't think so.
Like, you think like,
I don't think so.
Because there's no point in Miles Turner, right?
If he's coming again, if Miles Turner is my backup big, I'm cool with it.
He's not going to be a bench, and he's actually said he doesn't want to be he's not coming off the bench.
Yeah, well,
what is Chaz? What am I missing on Fred VanVleet? Listen, I was
like Fred. I just don't like his contract.
I don't like his contract either. We're talking about windows.
Yeah, I think
I'll just say he's a championship caliber player. He's down in 3-point percentage this year, but like he knows how to win.
I think Fred just too. Fred, I think Fred's too small, man. For one, I think Fred's a little small.
Too small. Too small.
If you got CJ,
if you playing him next to CJ,
yeah, he's too small.
And look, Justin,
guys, we played Devontae and Jose. We played Devontae and Jose rotate backcourts. What are we talking about? Too small.
Yeah, but the point is, you don't want to move laterally. You want to move on an incline. Like you don't want.
Listen, I just threw it in there because it would piss people off. Like I threw it in there because I knew people would like get upset by it. But he's not this like terrible basketball player.
No.
I just don't like his contract.
My problem with him is he turned down. I think he turned down something crazy from them.
Like for 4 years, 100 million, something like that.
100 mil. He turned that down. So
can I throw one more name at y'all?
Yeah,
and we'll get off. Sorry, Chaz and Leo closes. OG Anunoby. Is that an incline or is that a lateral move because of the players we have?
I think it's still a lateral move. Truthfully, I'm sorry. I think it's an incline, but I don't think OG's the guy that puts you over the top. Truthfully, and again, it depends on what the cost is, right? Because I look at it like this. Okay, let's say you get OG, right? Can OG be your number one option when Brandon and Zion isn't playing? And I think that's how you have to evaluate everything, right? Can the guy I get fill the shoes of a number one option in the event that one, if not both of my main guys are out? And that's the question I have to ask. Because if I'm giving up 3 and 4 picks for OG Anunoby, you better be able to be a fringe all-star or something, bro. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Chaz, you nailed it. I'm going to Toledo in a second. Chaz, you nailed it. You did a hot take a while back, but you said the Timberwolves screwed up the entire free agent market with their trade with Rudy Gobert. They've messed up the entire trade market maybe for the next couple of years because of what they got for Rudy Gobert. And that's why everyone's, hey, I want 4 or 5 first-round picks.
And it's crazy because all they really did was mess up their team.
Their team, we said this, though. They're awful.
They crippled that team.
It's ridiculous. I'm gonna say
Close
this.
Out.
I feel like I didn't realize OG was shooting 36% from 3. That kind of changes things in my eyes. I don't want to give up multiple picks for him though. Like I don't like Chaz just said. I do understand. You know, if we make a move, I don't necessarily like want to give up. I don't know. It just doesn't sound sexy giving up 3 first-round picks for OG Anunoby. If I gotta be honest, but he's averaging 18. He's averaging almost 6 assists. He's averaging 2 steals. Doesn't pass the ball at all though. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a black hole. It's a black hole right there. Like you ball go in and it's never coming back out to you. I like how he plays. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like for me, you know, Bogey Buddy, that type of spacer would be better for us. I love OG's defense though. Like to have, I don't know if you get OG, do you trade her for OG? Like I don't know the specifics of the trade. How he would.
Yeah,
probably
the trade
right?
The context matters. The trade.
Yeah,
the pieces in the trade matter, and that's something the only person that will know that is Trajan and David Griffin. But
let me say this.
Close it out.
If Jackson Hayes is on this team at the trade deadline, I don't know what else to tell y'all.
Can we talk? He handed the ball in the corner. I've been trying to give Jack some praise, and he played, and then he did the thing in Boston where he was in the corner. CJ drove hard, and he was there for the 3-point opportunity. He drove it into Grant Williams, and then just threw it to Derek White. He like handed it off to Derek White. It was special. It was something. It was something. So, Sunday Night Show. Love this here. Presented by Company Burger and DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of Boot Crew Media and the NBA and also NFL. Use code BOOT. You see down there. NFL playoffs going on. New users, you can bet $5. Bet on any team to win their NFL playoff matchup. You win $150 in free bets by using code BOOT. Also presented to you by Birdsall Law Firm and Sidecar / The Rusty Nail. We'll start doing live shows there here soon. Lido, Chaz, Cole in background, Lala's in the background. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Love to hear your thoughts on who the Pelicans should trade target coming up here in the next couple weeks, and also what y'all think about Brandon and Zion Williamson injuries. We will see y'all tomorrow. We got to recap against Cavs. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Caw-caw.
Later, guys.